What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at Branded Dark Magician. It's more of a control deck, and Branded Fusion is it's like its own little engine, but more than anything, it's like a really good way to get Dark Magician in the graveyard, which is really what this is all about. I'm playing against Exo Sister, and you can see I have a pretty good opening here. Branded Fusion, Dark Magical Circle, and Soul. At the very least, is going to set up my little loop that Dark Magician has had for so many years now of bringing something back, or bringing back Dark Magician with Eternal Soul, and then banishing a card with Dark Magical Circle, and then repeating the process over and over again. This hand's about as good as it gets, and I do play Dark Burning Magic. I do play Bond between Teacher and Student, because what you'll find out is, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna do pure control. I'm just gonna run Dark Magical Circle and Eternal Soul. You're gonna have too much engine at some point, and it's just gonna like lose you duels because you don't have anything else to search. Being able to destroy all cards that your opponent controls as a quick effect is a very good effect, and I think it's worth it. It's easier to use Bond between Teacher and Soul than it is to use the Continuous Trap Magician's combination, where you swap out Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. You could also play it. I just like this too much because I think this is a significantly better interaction. All right, he's gonna banish. That's fine. He has Ash. Now, these things are okay. I'm okay trading these one for ones. This one's a little unfortunate, obviously. But, his Ash on Illusion of Chaos is, like, pretty darn good. Right? I'm going to be able to use this next turn. He just lost a card, not for nothing, right? I don't get to use the search. But at the very least, I have a pretty good follow-up. And Skill Drain as well is probably going to do a ton. And now I can use Branded Fusion. That's going to give me Albion. So I do run Hex. It can count as Dark Magician. So basically, what I did before is I sent Lubellion, or I summoned Lubellion to discard a card, and I used Dark Magician and Fallen of Albaz to make Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. In this case, I can now use Hex Seal to send it. That way I'm not having to discard a card from my hand, which sometimes you don't always want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just crash there, and then end phase, I get a free card. Now, I don't get to use it. I only run one Fallen of Albaz, but at least it's one less brick out of my hand. And that's the thing, all of that interruption he did is, and now he only has 3 cards. I have Eternal Soul, so I can search, right? I can search with the Dark Magic attack, which is pretty cool. I'm going to have follow-up Illusion of Chaos, which is going to be follow-up every single turn. I can send Branded Fusion back as a free card to shuffle, and then every single turn I get to search a Dark Magician card. This card's actually insane, right? It's not just Magician Souls. For Dark Magician, this card's just absolutely buku bonkers. Alright, he's going to set a card. I'm going to search Dark Magic Attack. It's just free, right? It's very good. Searchable Harpy's Feather Duster. And now really all I need is just one copy of Illusion of Chaos to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and search Magician's Rod. And I can send back Fallen of Albaz, right? Makes sense. Now I can grab myself Dark Magical Circle. I could have searched Souls and sent Dark Magician, but the idea is hopefully I could search Circle and then actually find Dark Magician off the top. It didn't work out. I didn't get to grab anything, but Summon Limit and Skill Drain, I imagine, is going to be more than enough against Exo Sister, right? They're like a control-based deck, but that's not going to get it done. I top deck Magician Souls. It's something that I saw off Dark Magical Circle. Dark Magical Circle. For some reason, that sounds weird when I say that, but I'm going to go ahead and banish a card there. He's going to go for Imperm, which has definitely been unfortunate because I'm going to be able to send, Dark Magician Girl, bring it back. I was hoping to destroy all of his cards. The only card or the column where that really comes up is this one right here, and I'm not going to be able to use it until next turn. But that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and attack for a bunch of life points. And that's, all I do is set this card. Whatever he does, right, if he sets a third card, I just destroy all of them, and that's just going to be the end of the game. And I think he ends up scooping. But I had so many cards of interruption. Now, I also run cards like Pot of Extravagance, so my deck is my extra deck is very limited. I basically run everything at 3, and all of them are related to like the Bestial package. Not Bestial, Branded. The only other card is Imduke. Imduke is a Link 1 that uses a normal monster because you need to be able to get Dark Magician off the field. Alright, so my only going second cards are super high impact. So a lot of control cards, Skill Drain, Summon Limit, but I also run cards like Evenly Matched and Dark Ruler. That's just going to give you the best chance going second, and you're not going to need traditional hand traps, typically speaking. Also, the cool thing about running cards like Evenly Matched and Dark Ruler is that they can be discarded off of Magician Souls, which is really, really cool. And this is the biggest problem with the deck that you'll see here. It's like I've set it up, and this is like I don't slightly ideal on some level for Dark Magician, but that best case scenario, it's obviously not the best case scenario, but a lot of the times this is what's going to set up, right? It's a 3-card combo. It's not extremely easy to set up all in one go. I'm going to go ahead and, banish his card here. That's Galaxy Eyes Afterglow. He's going to bring something back. I think he should have just made something 8 and gone into like one of his rank 8s to pop Eternal Soul, which would have popped all my cards. He wouldn't have been able to go for lethal, but he would have been in a much better spot. But he's going to go ahead and search another Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. I thought he was going to search the, not Galaxy Expedition, although I think he could have actually. But the other one that lets you reborn something and then bring something else out. But that's okay. That is not how math works, so that's going to go away. And he's going to go for Zeus. Okay. Well, I get to start my turn with Pot of Extravagance if I want to, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff here. He's going to go ahead and pop everything. Zeus, you think he would just wait, but he doesn't. So I'm going to go for Lubellion. Lubellion could probably discard Evenly Match. I don't need it. And I'm off to the races, right? I did have in my graveyard Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician, so that Soul Servant that I couldn't use before just gave me incredible follow-up, and look what I'm going to be able to do now. Now I can use Eternal Souls, I can send Illusion of Chaos, and I can draw 2 more cards, right? I didn't need to use Pot of Extravagance. I wanted to use my extra deck, and now I can find a Magician's Rod, which is going to give me Dark Magical Circle, and this is incredible. I find an Eternal Soul off the top. So I'm going to go ahead and set, and now I can... Actually, I shouldn't have set these. I should have gone to the battle phase, because if he has evenly matched, I just get punished so hard, but it didn't make that big of a difference. Mirror Jade's obviously just a good interruption, because if your opponent gets over it, it has the Raigeki effect, so that's obviously fantastic. And I have Branded Fusion there, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to be able to use it, but again, it's just a free card, so that is how that works out pretty well. Although, I don't know what I ended up banishing. That's kind of interesting. Maybe I'd use Lubellion first and use it in itself. Like sometimes you ideally you go into Lubellion first so you can shuffle back Fallen of Albaz and then you get to use another Branded Fusion, but sometimes it doesn't work out, right? Sometimes you don't want to discard that random discard. But Skill Drain is Skill Drain is good for you, or it's bad against your opponent. It can also be bad for you. Like Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight doesn't become Dark Magician anymore, so that's kind of unfortunate, but this is a control strategy. It hurts your opponent way, way, way more than it hurts you, so it always feels like it's worth it. He can go into the extra deck, he can go into anything that he wants, but as you'll see here, he's going to get over by Mirror Jade, which is all fine and dandy, but it has that effect. When it's destroyed, it's going to pop every card in this field. Right, that goes away. He could bring that back, but he's still under Skill Drain. Now I can bring out Imdu, bring back Dark Magician, banish it, and then that's just the end of the game. And that works out pretty well. This is against Gishki. So Pot of Extravagance is like a super good card in this deck. Pot of Extravagance plus Soul Servant is insane, right? You get to stack your deck. So basically you choose Dark Magical Circle and you get a +1 off of that. These two cards are too good to work together in Dark Magician. I just feel like you kind of have to do it. He's going to go full Gishki combo, which is pretty cool. I thought it'd be a hand loop, but it's not. It's just negates. All right, here's Gishki Aqua Mirror. I think you can actually tribute any monster on the field for its effect. He's going to go for Smashers. All right, it's pretty good end board. And he's going to go for Elf. Bring back Gishki Abyss. This is not a once per turn at all. So he's going to be able to keep searching. He gets to grab the Ritual Monster. That's an Omni Negate. It bounces itself back to the hand afterwards. He's going to add a card to his hand. He's got to shuffle one back. Still plussing like crazy. And he's going to go for Gishki Aqua Mirror. So there goes his first negate. You'd think he would probably put it in this zone, but I guess not. Again, that's not a once per turn. So every single time this comes back, he gets to add a card, which is a very good loop. He's going to go for another copy of Necro Mirror. And then I think he just does regular Sprite stuff after this. He's going to go for Gigantic Sprite, which is going to bring out blue. Blue is going to bring out red probably. Or carrot in this case. That makes sense. It's going to be special summoned. I can go into Elf. and then I think he's just going to bring back probably blue during my turn if I had to take a guess. Starts out with starter. Okay, wow. Well, I'm going to go for Pot of Extravagance. Hopefully I find, you know, like Dark Ruler no more. But he goes for the negate there. I mean, I guess that makes sense and thinking about everything else he has, but, you know, I only run these super high impact cards, you know, in the main deck, which in this case has worked out really, really well. Not every deck can do that, but in this case you definitely can. Now, I just broke his entire board, obviously evenly matched it a lot of work, and the follow-up is even crazier. So skill drain is really good. Plus I get Pot of Extravagance, right? I get a Pot of Greed during my next turn. I top deck Dark Ruin more, and that's kind of unfortunate, but this time I do finally get an Illusion of Chaos, which is fantastic, and I can just shuffle something back. Usually I keep Illusion of Chaos, you know, just because I get to use the search every turn. I get to grab another rod every single turn, and that's obviously very beneficial. So I grabbed a Magician's Rod, I can use Circle, and then I don't know what I got off the top. Now my loop isn't there, and again, Dark Magician is casual, and that's all it will be, but I can't be too mad, especially with skill drain out here. He's going to go for the Ritual Monster. He can't use the effect. He's not going to be able to use the negate. Now he can't attack me, but we'll see what ends up happening. So he's just going to go for 3k, and I'm down to 4, which is fine. It's like an infinite amount of life points, it feels like, doesn't it? Alright, so I can go Magician Souls. I can just bring out Dark Magician. He's going to try to negate there. He cannot, and then he just scoops. Skill drain's crazy. Like I said, it does hurt you, but it hurts your opponent way more. This is a crazy opening, of course. So I'm going to go for Branded Fusion. And it's going to, you know, I can send Hex Sealed, and then I can banish those, go into Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Or at least I thought. And I'm going to go ahead and send Dark Magician, special summon this card just in case I can use it for next turn. That is not how Imperm works. That's hilarious. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, get Eternal Soul there, stack it on the top so I know I can use it. And also the other really cool part is I can now stack the other 2 cards, right? This lets you look at the top 3, you get to add a Dark Magician card, and then the other 2 get placed on the top of the deck and in the order. So Soul Servant's in the graveyard. While you do that, you basically get to draw an extra card and see what it is. And that's a very powerful effect. I had 2 wonky cards. I think it was like another Eternal Soul and Dark Magic Attack, so I thought, yeah, heck, why not? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. This is the field spell. So if he doesn't have Unicorn specifically, I think I just win. What I don't want to do is allow that to go off. He searches Unicorn, and then I banish Unicorn. That's not good. I'm going to have to assume that he doesn't have it, or hope that he doesn't. And I think that's a big time, like, consistency. You know, I feel like I can kind of work that out well. Now, I do have Summon Limit. This card's obviously very good. Floodgate. Okay, no one ever plays around Solemn Limit, or Summon Limit, Solemn Limit. Well, he's done summoning for the turn, right? So he's just got to scoop. It's the Floodgates that are usually protected by Dark Magician and the Dragon Knight that make this deck so decent. Okay, this is against Mech Knight. Technically have the loop here. I don't know if I'm going to get anything good. I'm going to be able to banish next turn. I'm going to use Bond Between Teacher and Student, just so I have some pretty good follow-up there. Because I know in an ideal world, Eternal Soul is still going to be up, so I can bring back Dark Magician and thus set up the loop here. He's going to go for World's Legacy Scars. Don't see this very often. I'm going to go ahead and summon here. I know he's playing Mech Knights at this point, and normally when they set cards, they're consistency cards like normal spells. So I'm thinking, well, I don't want to give him a free zone. I know he's playing Mech Knight, so if I can get rid of the spell card, he's got to have another that he can set, you know, otherwise he won't be able to use it. He's going to go ahead and summon Mech Knight Blue Sky. He's locked into Mech Knights for the rest of the turn. That card he set was Solemn Judgment. So that worked out quite well for me. He's going to be able to get over this, which is perfectly fine. I pretty much want it to be in the graveyard. And I think he's just going to go to the end phase. Okay, so next turn starts. I can go ahead and bring this back. Banish a card on the field. It's going to be the monster. And then main phase 2, Bond Between Teacher and Student. Perfect. Dark Magician Girl. Now I can destroy every card he owns. And now I can activate Dark Magical Circle again. Although maybe I shouldn't have. I'm in playing Mech Knights. I have everything I could possibly need, but I guess you just never truly know. Alright. That was against Mech Knights. And this is against Rescue Ace. This is actually a really interesting duel. Seeing Dark Magician Girl and Dark Burning Magic is like, that's definitely not great. But seeing Summon Limit is probably going to put in a tremendous amount of work. So I'm going to go for Branded Fusion, and finally, I think I'm going to actually be able to use the effect to go into Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So all this is, and this is extremely unfortunate. So I can at least search Dark Magic Attack, and that's kind of hilarious. But this counts as Dark Magician. If you read Dark Burning Magic, it requires monsters whose original names are Dark Magician. This is literally just Dark Magician on a dragon. This can't, like, why does this card need to say all original names? So I actually couldn't use it, which is kind of crazy. But I do have a summon limit that cannot be destroyed or targeted by card effects. And that is obviously very beneficial. He's going to go ahead and summon. I'm going to go for summon limit. So now he's stuck at Mirror Jade. He's going to go ahead and banish Rod, which actually makes sense. You don't want that in the graveyard. And then he's just going to go to the end phase. Alright, he's going to search out Branded Fusion. That's perfectly fine. And I'm going to go ahead and search with Albion here at the end. And Dark Magician the Dragon Knight is in my graveyard. So this is going to be really, really good. I can go ahead and normal summon Magician's Rod. I can search myself at Eternal Soul. Set, and I think that's it. I'm going to go into Nightmare Phoenix, popping the back row. So what happens is it can be protected as long as you send an Albion monster to the extra deck. And I saw these playing Rescue, so I'm thinking he's probably not playing Pure. So as long as I keep putting the pressure on, he's literally going to lose targets to fusion summon anything. And that's like one of the best strategies to like beat this archetype. This card is really, really good against Mirror Jade, right? Eternal Soul, it's unaffected. Destroyed during the end phase, unaffected. And then he now also can't like use MST or anything like that. Whatever you want to like say, because Eternal Soul, you know, is protected by targeting and destruction effect, which is pretty much every form of removal. He's going to go ahead and set a card again that's under summon limit, so that's obviously very beneficial. He's going to use Mirror Jade effects to try to pop, but nothing's going to happen. The Nightmare Phoenix did go, but this stayed exactly where it was. A little bit weird because I don't have anything to kind of push for a game at all, but I'm going to go ahead and destroy off his back row, and I figured he's out of branded monsters. Like, he's just playing a small package, so that's obviously very good. And the field spells also pretty decent. I think it prevents me from targeting his cards. He's going to go for the big one to set like a bunch of cards in the back row, I'm pretty sure. He's done summoning for the turn, and that's, you know, pretty decent. I think that's going to go up to 3,000 attack. Alright, fair enough, but I can just use Eternal Soul and then banish another copy, right? He's not going to attack into that. And the back row cards, I've read the rescue cards recently, they just, you know, they give you cards back, but they don't actually advance your game state, like, at all. Or at least not in a noticeable way. Everything runs through Hydrant, so I thought I'd destroy that over this just kind of random attack body. I'm not activating monster effects right now. He's going to bring back Airlifter, and that's going to grab the field spell, so he's going to get that back in the loop. And those gain all those attack. Alright, main phase 1. And then he's going to go for Nightmare Phoenix. He can't do anything about it. Again, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight is there. So that prevents any action on that side of things. And he's just going to set a card. Okay. Another copy of Dark Ruler No More. It's kind of brutal. These draws stink really badly, but we are getting there one step at a time. Alright, he's going to draw. He's got 5 cards, but summon limit is going to be there. And he's going to add a card to hand. Really no use in trying to fusion summon Fallen of Albaz. You know, with Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, since it is unaffected. He could go for Nightmare Phoenix, but I don't think there is a relevant target for that to happen. That's going to go to the graveyard, so I can just bring this back, and then I'm just going to banish it, so he can't use it anymore. And that obviously worked out really well. Like, once the loop is going, it is pretty decent, you know, even in 2023. Alright, so I can just draw 1, draw 2. So good. And I can, you know, grab Magician's Souls. And I can, you know, send Dark Magician to the graveyard. Especially with Dark Magician Girl. And now I could pop the back row. And I also have Dark Burning Magic. So that card at the very beginning of this duel has finally come in clutch after all this time. I'm just going to go ahead and set that. And hope he sets 5 and passes. But we'll see what ends up happening. This is as solid as an interruption as it gets. I could have popped there so it doesn't get the field spell effect. But it doesn't actually do that much. Rather just keep this one banishment, you know, to my benefit. He's going to go to the battle phase. That's okay to get over this. Like, I'm cool with that. Because, again, I was, like, my biggest worry is evenly matched, right? He's trying to bait me in destroying all of his cards. Well, then at the end of the battle phase, he activates evenly matched, and then I cry. So that's why I did it that way. Alright, Illusion of Chaos can search Magician's Souls, so I can, you know, bring back Dark Magician Girl. That's always fantastic. This card is still like super expensive for some reason. It kind of sucks. But I can send an Illusion of Chaos, bring back Dark Magician Girl, pop all of his cards, and thus leaving him wide open for game. Alright. This is, again, something. I have, again, I keep just drawing these cards in my opening. So 3... Well, this card isn't a brick at all, but this is definitely a brick, and that's definitely a brick. So that's kind of unfortunate. You know, with Illusion of Chaos, if you have something awkward in hand, you can at least send it back. There's no true garnets where if you draw it, you're done. But, you know, obviously it's not something that you want to exactly see. Now, if you only had one interruption, like this isn't great. You know, all I have is one form of interruption. And then follow-up interruption if he is playing spells and traps. But if you are going to have one effect to use for the entire turn, I feel like it would be to destroy all cards on the field. Not monsters, not monsters with certain attacks, not all spells. Every card your opponent controls as a quick effect can get destroyed. So, this is okay. Plus, I have decent follow-up, right? I have Illusion of Chaos. I ended up trading 1 for 3, and that worked out really, really well. Right, one of his cards has to target one card. That's the card. And then by destroying it, obviously, he misses the target. He choreographed this. I saw what this card was, so I'm probably going to use Dark Magic Attack. So otherwise, he's just going to use it during the next turn. I'm not going to have an Omni Negate. It's kind of my only option. But I'm going to normal summon Rod. I can search Circle. Circle can go ahead and grab me Eternal Soul. That's always a good thing. All right, Soul Servant can stack it, and then I can draw 2. Oh, that's obviously very good, right? I get to add Eternal Soul, and then by banishing the 2, because I control different names, you know, I get to do this. He only has 1 turn to figure this all out, and I have Skill Drain. You know, that's what I was talking about Imduke. You got to get Dark Magician in the graveyard so that you can use Eternal Soul again. And I was just kind of way ahead in card advantage, and I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, here is the last duel. It's against Tri-Brigade. Again, a very good opening. Skill Drain is like the death of Tri-Brigade usually. They have, well, you could say most archetypes have their effects on the field. You know, obviously not Tier Element, but yeah, Skill Drain against the right casual deck is absolutely destructive. I'm going to go ahead and send Magician's Rod there to the graveyard. I think this was right before I played Hex Sealed, so I probably would have gone through that play just so I had a little bit of follow-up. Yeah, he changes the attack. I directly issue the Dragon Knight when I should have just activated Eternal Soul, so it was unaffected. I have no idea why I did that. It's actually a very bad decision. But I'm going to go activate Skill Drain after he wastes a bunch of cards in the graveyard, and that's essentially sealed the fate of this duel. Sprite Sprint can activate, but he's going to get over to, he's going to be able to pop over that. I'm going to activate Eternal Soul during the end phase. Should have just activated it at the time. Or actually, I'm going to search Dark Magic Attack. That makes sense. I don't really need anything. So I can normal summon Rod, and that's obviously very good. Or it doesn't matter. And actually, that's something that I forgot about. Yes, it counts as Dark Magician, but if it's on the field with Skill Drain, it doesn't count as Dark Magician, which I think is very stupid, but that's just how it works. So I can't really use Rod, but again, as you can see, it's much more of a problem for my opponent than it is for me. And that's kind of how the entire deck works, you know. I'm just going to go for lethal here. It's just a small hand trap. Those two combined are more than enough to drain my opponent's life points. So that is branded Dark Magician Control. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.